Have you ever believed that walking is always good for you? That as long as you keep moving your legs, you're doing your body a favor? That idea has been passed around so many times, it almost feels like common sense. But what if I told you that for some older adults, too much walking can quietly do more harm than good? I know that sounds surprising. Most of us were raised to think walking is the safest and healthiest exercise, and in many cases, that's true. But not for everyone. In fact, there are 5 specific types of seniors for whom too much walking can actually increase pain, strain vital organs, worsen nerve damage, or even reduce life expectancy. Yes, you heard that right, doing more could be speeding things up in the wrong direction. This isn't about scaring anyone. It's about awareness. Because once you know what signs to watch out for, you can adjust your routine and actually protect your strength, your comfort, and your independence. I've seen too many friends push themselves thinking they were doing the right thing, only to find out later that they were making things worse. That's why today we're going to walk through 5 specific conditions where less walking done smarter is the real key to staying well. Stay with me, this could change the way you think about movement for the rest of your life. But first, let me tell you about something that might shock you about your knee joints. If you're living with advanced osteoarthritis, especially in the knees, hips, or lower back, walking too much can do more harm than good. That might sound strange at first, after all, movement helps with stiffness, right? But when the cartilage in your joints is worn down significantly, every step can feel like bone grinding against bone. The pain is real. The inflammation is real. And if you keep pushing through that pain every day, hoping it'll get better, you may actually be speeding up the damage and shortening the amount of time those joints remain usable. You see, cartilage doesn't regenerate easily. Once it's gone, it's gone. And unlike in our younger years, our bodies don't recover from joint stress as quickly after 60 or 70. What happens instead is a cycle of swelling, irritation, and where that keeps getting worse the more pressure we put on those joints. So if you're walking long distances, going up and down hills, or spending hours on your feet every day, that repeated strain may be silently robbing you of the very mobility you're trying to protect. Psychologically, this creates a very frustrating loop. Seniors with osteoarthritis are often told, stay active. And they want to be responsible. So they walk, they endure the pain, and they tell themselves it's just stiffness. But beneath the surface, their joints are crying out. The discomfort becomes chronic. Sleep gets disturbed. Their mood shifts. And what began as a healthy habit becomes a source of daily misery and long-term decline. Take George, for example. He's 78 and had always been a morning walker. But for the last 2 years, every walk ended with swelling and stiffness in his right knee. He chalked it up to age, kept going, even bought a new pair of shoes. But the real issue wasn't footwear, it was bone-on-bone arthritis. After seeing a rheumatologist and switching to shorter supported movement sessions like water aerobics and recumbent biking, George's pain reduced by 70% and his mood dramatically improved. The lesson: walking isn't a one-size-fits-all solution for people with severe osteoarthritis, especially in load-bearing joints. Gentler movement and joint-friendly activities are far more beneficial than pounding the pavement. And the sooner you adapt, the more years you protect your comfort, mobility, and independence. Now, here's something that could literally be a matter of life and death. Older adults living with advanced heart failure often think that walking is a good way to stay active and keep the blood flowing. But the truth is, it can be a dangerous misunderstanding. When your heart is no longer pumping efficiently, even mild activity like a short walk can leave you feeling breathless, dizzy, or extremely fatigued. And if you ignore these signals and keep pushing yourself, you may be unknowingly placing serious strain on your heart, raising the risk of hospitalization or even sudden collapse. The heart, especially when weakened, needs to conserve energy. Every extra beat, every elevated pulse during a walk becomes a demand your body may not be equipped to meet. This is not about being lazy or fragile. It's about understanding your current limits and honoring them. Most people with advanced heart failure don't know they're in that category because they've adapted so slowly. But if walking from one room to the next leaves you winded, or if your ankles swell after light activity, that's your heart asking for a break. Emotionally, this is a hard truth to face. Many older adults fear losing their independence. They associate movement with dignity and fear that slowing down means giving up. But it's actually the opposite. Recognizing your body's needs and responding wisely is a sign of strength, not weakness. It's a sign of maturity, of self-preservation. It's not about quitting, it's about choosing smarter paths forward. Take Sarah, for instance. She's 84 and used to walk a mile every morning around her neighborhood. But over time, she noticed it took longer to catch her breath. Her legs would feel heavy, her chest tight. She thought maybe it was just aging or maybe she needed more rest. But after a checkup, her cardiologist explained that she was in the late stages of heart failure and that walking briskly wasn't helping, it was hurting. Today, Sarah uses chair exercises, slow breathing drills, and light stretching to keep moving without overloading her heart. She still feels active, but now it's on her terms, and her heart has thanked her for it. So if you've been diagnosed with any stage of heart failure, especially advanced, know that walking long distances or at a fast pace isn't always the safest option. Listen to your body. Let your doctor guide you. And don't let pride push you into a pattern that your heart simply cannot sustain anymore. But wait, there's something even more dangerous that happens in a split second. If your balance has become unreliable, if you've stumbled recently or had a near fall, you may need to seriously rethink your walking routine. Many older adults proudly push themselves to get in their daily steps. But what's often overlooked is the danger of walking with impaired balance. When your inner ear, joints, or nervous system aren't communicating properly, each step becomes a gamble. And a single fall can change your life in an instant, leading to hip fractures, head injuries, or long-term disability. The assumption that walking is always healthy simply doesn't hold up when you're dealing with balance issues. Walking on uneven sidewalks, climbing stairs, or even maneuvering through a crowded grocery store can trigger instability. It's not about how determined you are, it's about how your body responds. And if that response includes wobbles, foot shuffles, or a heavy reliance on railings and furniture, that's your warning sign. The risk here isn't theoretical. It's very real. Let's talk about the psychology of this. Seniors often tie their identity to being able to get around on their own. They might even dismiss or hide their balance problems out of pride or fear of losing independence. But the truth is, you don't lose independence by slowing down. You lose it when an avoidable injury lands you in a hospital bed. Taking a step back today can protect your ability to take steps at all tomorrow. I remember hearing about Frank, a 78-year-old retired teacher who used to take morning walks around the lake. He noticed his steps getting more uncertain, but he didn't want to give in. One rainy day, he slipped, hit his head, and ended up in rehab for months. He told his grandson afterward, "I was trying to stay strong, but I wasn't being smart." Frank eventually returned to movement, this time with indoor balance classes, a walker, and a physical therapist guiding the way. His mobility returned, but so did his humility. And his story is a powerful reminder for us all. So if you notice your body leaning to one side, your feet dragging, or your confidence dipping when walking outdoors, it's time to change course. Consider alternatives like balance-specific exercises, indoor stationary machines, or working with a professional to restore your stability. And always be honest with yourself and with your doctor. because pride is never worth a broken bone. Here's something that's silently building pressure in your arteries right now. Walking is usually hailed as a heart-healthy habit, and in many cases, it is. But if you're dealing with uncontrolled high blood pressure, walking too much or walking under the wrong conditions can actually place dangerous strain on your cardiovascular system. When your blood pressure is already elevated, even moderate physical exertion can spike it further. That sudden surge can place extra pressure on your heart and arteries, potentially triggering a stroke, a heart attack, or even sudden fainting. Now, here's the part most folks don't realize: high blood pressure often doesn't come with obvious symptoms. You might feel fine while walking, but inside your arteries, it could be a very different story. And many seniors continue their daily walks with good intentions, not knowing that they're increasing their risk, especially in hot or humid weather or after skipping medications. Even a light stroll can push your system over the edge. That's why so many heart specialists recommend careful monitoring, not just of your activity, but of your numbers. There's also a psychological twist here. Many seniors think, "I'm walking, so I must be doing the right thing." And that's admirable. But when that belief is held too tightly, it can become stubbornness. We convince ourselves that if we stop walking, we're giving up. But being wise enough to pause, adjust, and prioritize safety, that's not giving up. That's maturity. That's strength. I once knew a gentleman named Robert, age 81, who had walked every day since his retirement. But he'd recently been diagnosed with stage 2 hypertension, and against his doctor's advice, kept walking his usual loop around the neighborhood. One summer afternoon, he collapsed in his driveway. Thankfully, a neighbor spotted him quickly, and he recovered. But after that scare, Robert finally took his doctor's words seriously. He switched to light stretching indoors, started checking his pressure daily, and returned to walking gradually, only after his levels were consistently under control. His story is proof it's not about walking every day, it's about walking wisely. So if your blood pressure readings are high or you're on multiple medications to manage it, this is your cue to take a step back. Work closely with your healthcare provider. Ask when and how you can safely stay active. And don't let pride push you into a health crisis. Being cautious doesn't mean being weak. It means you care enough to protect the body you've lived in for decades. And finally, here's the condition that creates a vicious cycle of pain and damage. For older adults living with advanced osteoarthritis, especially in the knees, hips, or lower back, walking too much can actually worsen joint deterioration rather than help it. While light movement is important for maintaining mobility, too much weight-bearing activity, like long walks on hard pavement, can accelerate cartilage breakdown, increase inflammation, and heighten the risk of falls due to pain or instability. This is one of those situations where the line between healthy habit and harmful overuse becomes very thin. Many seniors have been told their whole lives that staying active is the best way to keep the joints loose. And to an extent, that's true. But with osteoarthritis in advanced stages, the cushioning in the joints is significantly reduced. Every step creates bone-on-bone friction that not only hurts but also contributes to further damage. You may start out feeling fine, but midway through a walk, the stiffness and burning pain can sneak up fast, sometimes even lasting for days afterward. What makes this especially tricky is the emotional component. A lot of people associate movement with independence. They fear that cutting back on walking will make them seem weak or dependent. But choosing safer, joint-friendly options like swimming, chair exercises, or gentle cycling is not giving up on yourself. In fact, it's giving yourself a chance to continue moving for years to come without the flare-ups, swelling, or dangerous limping. Let me tell you about Elaine, a retired teacher I once met at a senior center. She was 76, always positive, and insisted on walking several miles a day, even though her knees were severely arthritic. Her doctors had advised her to ease off, but she felt that stopping would mean losing control. After a few months, the pain got so bad she needed a cane just to get out of bed. That was the turning point. She finally replaced her daily walks with water aerobics classes at the community pool. Within weeks, the pain reduced, her mobility improved, and her mood lifted. She still felt active and independent, just without the unnecessary suffering. This is a gentle reminder that walking is not the only way to stay fit. If your joints are grinding, swollen, or constantly aching after your walks, it may be your body asking you to switch gears. Arthritis doesn't mean you have to stop moving. It means you need to move smarter. Listen to what your body's telling you. And remember, longevity isn't about pushing through pain. It's about making choices that help you live well, not just long. Here's what this all means for you. We often assume that walking is always good for us, no matter our age or condition. And for many, it truly is. But the truth is more nuanced. As we age, our bodies change. So do our risks, our needs, and the way we should approach daily movement. It's not about giving up walking altogether, but about walking with wisdom. When you're in your 60s, 70s, or 80s, blindly pushing through discomfort or fatigue can do more harm than good, especially if you fall into one of the 5 categories we've talked about today. But here's the good news: awareness is power. By knowing your body, listening to your symptoms, and making a few thoughtful adjustments, you can protect your heart, your joints, your blood vessels, and your long-term health. You don't have to walk 10,000 steps a day to stay healthy. You just have to move in a way that honors where your body is now, not where it used to be. So ask yourself, how does your body feel after a walk? Do you feel energized, or do you feel drained, sore, or unstable? These are the quiet whispers of your body trying to communicate with you. And when you learn to listen, that's when real wisdom sets in. Remember, growing older isn't about slowing down. It's about becoming more selective with your energy. Choosing what strengthens you, not what wears you down. It's okay to step away from habits that no longer serve you. In fact, it's a sign of maturity, of self-respect, and of true health awareness. You deserve to feel safe, strong, and steady as you age, not pressured to follow one-size-fits-all advice. So be kind to yourself. You're not lazy or weak for adjusting your routines. You're being smart, proactive, and loving toward the only body you've got.